Welcome to another episode of Chalk and Cheese. This week we are talking justice in sport.
All right, so sorry about my voice, but like they say, the show must go on. So
The show must go on.
I wanted to start with Gilmore. We're talking about justice in sport, and I want to talk about should star athletes be treated differently than sort of your normal average
punter,
teammates? Yeah. Because if I think about off-field behavior, on-field behavior, I always see situations where something happens or someone does something, and you're like, hang on, if anyone else had done it, what would the consequence have been for them?
Yeah.
And then it sort of becomes like when we were talking about fans in the stands and TV and fans watching on TV, because teams want to win so bad, they're always willing to overlook what some of them do.
I don't know if it's completely overlooking, but I think if someone's doing the wrong thing outside of the game, it's almost like the club's allowed to decide what their punishment should be based on whatever they have rather than what the actual law might actually be.
Yeah.
Because I feel like there's a lot of people who get done for drink driving or whatever. The AFL's, I don't know, I always go AFL versus NRL, but I feel like the AFL's pretty harsh on that.
Yeah.
Especially with the young guys when they come through. There was Collingwood, Jack Ginnivan did something stupid at the start of the year and they've banned him for 2 games. But then it's like, are they also getting everyone else's law applied to them?
Yeah,
or is it like, it's a club thing, you figure it out?
Yeah.
Like, well,
I actually found one of the articles when I was looking around, and it's are AFL footballers above the law? And it actually wrote about that Andrew Gaff when he punched Brayshaw.
Oh, yeah.
And broke his jaw, knocked 3 teeth out.
Yeah.
And he got the consequence from the club and the AFL for missing the 8 games or whatever.
Yeah.
But he actually didn't get any consequences from the law.
Yeah.
And so, because you're on the field, does the law not apply? Do you know what I mean? Like, if that's just you out on a Friday night and you punch someone and you break their jaw, you'd be going to court.
Yeah, it's like as soon as you go over that white line, it's like different rules apply.
Yeah.
It's like, but when you're coaching teams, like leave it all on the field and you shake hands afterwards. But when it's something that can actually take away someone else's livelihood for however long that was, I think there should be some ramifications because it's the action.
Yeah.
And their defence is always, we'll ban him because it's not a good look for the game. I'm like, it's not a good look for society. People are fighting. It's like, so you've got to sort of
punches on the field.
Exactly.
Yeah, and that's where, and he was, Gaff was good, but he wasn't a sort of star player that they've gone, we can't punish him. So he got his punishment.
Yeah.
Because I always look at even like, I just Googled AFL, NRL players behaving badly, and I got a list of scandals from 2015.
Players behaving badly is an SBS special, isn't it?
I think it could be a weekly episode, but still, the amount of stuff that players have done, and I was trying to find where a player had done something, and it sort of actually got them banned from the NRL, and the only one I really found, a lot of the times they get banned is for betting.
Yeah, okay.
Other than that, they always have a chance to come back and play.
Yeah.
Like Matt Lodge harassed those people in New York.
Yeah.
Broke into their house, like tortured them for a little bit. A year, 2 years later, he's back in there and I'll play.
Yeah.
Who was the other one that? What else have they done? I got Matt Lodge. Let me get my list. Benny Barber hitting his girlfriend or wife outside a casino drunk.
Yeah.
He hasn't played since, but he had like 3 or 4 things before that.
Yeah.
And he kept getting chances. And I understand that sometimes one thing happens, but eventually you got to go, if it's 1, 2, 3, where do we stop? And with Benny Barber, I think it's just because he was good.
Yeah.
Because he got kicked out, went to the Super League, won the Player of the Year, got like the Man of Steel, and then he was back in the NRL. So when it comes to winning, and like we said in our previous episodes, teams are sort of willing to do a lot for winning.
Yeah.
And when they want to set their culture,
Yeah.
they're always willing to set it with the 18-year-old.
Yeah.
19
Yeah, well,
year old.
I was going to say, when they are looking for their new players coming in, all they talk about is integrity and
Yeah.
work ethic and all
Yeah.
that sort of stuff. And then
Yeah.
they get in and start playing, and they'll do whatever they can to protect the player.
That's why I think these clubs try to hold on as long as they can.
Yeah.
And that's where, like, I was trying to find examples of players getting cut where there was an 18-year-old that's got caught drink driving,
Yeah.
and they get rid of him. And I've heard a few of them, but I couldn't find them when I was trying to
Yeah.
Google. And that's where I think clubs struggle. I think that's where, as society, we struggle because all these stars and these players that you're like, hang on, they're playing a game,
Yeah.
but they get more
Yeah. Well,
privileges than
yeah,
anyone
you
else.
always come to the thing. It's like, if I did that in my workplace, I'd be fired immediately.
Yeah.
There's no, like, go take a couple of weeks off and come back.
Go
or they,
find
or they
yourself.
go trade you
Yeah,
to
yeah,
another
yeah,
workplace.
Yeah, and what
Unless you're in teaching, maybe they just in the state system, they just trade you to
see,
another workplace.
and I struggle because you find, like you said, you might lose your job and you've got to go find another one.
Mm.
But when this happens to athletes, you always hear, but that's what they're good at. That's what they should be doing. And
Yeah.
you're like,
Or they're under so much pressure. all
not
this other
everyone
stuff.
gets to do what they
Yeah.
love. Like,
Yeah.
if it is what you love, hopefully you control yourself so you can keep
Yeah.
doing it. And that's where I always think, as a coach, I might struggle because if you have your star player who you want to be playing, and he's your one that's late to training,
Yeah.
or he's your one that's out partying on the weekend, but he wins you games,
Yeah.
you're like, oh,
But I think
Well-
if you look at the organisations who uphold the integrity quite strongly, like
Yes.
the Storm,
Yeah.
they don't have one player they're hanging their hat on.
yeah,
And when things get tough, they make the hard decision. But that's the culture and the expectation. Whereas I think if someone gets special treatment,
yeah,
then everyone's like thinks they have this buffer. It's
Yeah.
like, oh, I can be a tool up until this point.
Yeah.
And then if that's the general culture of the club, you might have one player who will win you a game.
Yeah.
But then it might be go a month where everyone's just playing rubbish because
Yeah.
they're doing other things.
That's exactly what I had written down
Yeah.
for one. I was talking about sort of dynasties in all different sports. And I sort of went Patriots, Storm, All Blacks. Now, my United aren't a dynasty now, but
Yeah.
they were, I think we win 7 premierships in 20 years.
Yeah.
And all those sort of dynasties, they all had star players.
Yeah.
But I always think the star players were sort of held to account, like all the players. Like they said, one of the thing about Patriots with Tom Brady is Bill Belichick could say anything in front of Tom Brady.
Yeah.
He could dog him in front of the team.
Yeah, yeah.
And Brady would sit there and take it, and all the players would have to go, oh, geez, your Brady's taking it.
Yeah.
We've got to be able to, do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
I remember Man United, Alex Ferguson got rid of David Beckham.
Mm.
When he was sort of still in his prime, he went to Real Madrid, but he was sort of getting famous, married a Spice Girl, and it looked like soccer
Yeah.
was taking the second step, and he's like,
Yeah,
you know
yeah.
what? You need to move on if you're not going to sort
Yeah.
of follow what we want. And that's where I think the star players and letting them get away with stuff can get you so far, and maybe
Yeah,
it'll get
yeah.
you one
Yeah.
premiership, but it's
Yeah.
never going to set up your club
Yeah.
for a sustained period. And that's when you start talking about the teams like that. I was like, yeah, all the dynasties I looked at, I sort of think they treated their star players like everyone else.
Yeah.
And that sort of set the team up for winning.
I think
Over a sustained
to come
period.
into the athlete's defence for one thing, I think it is they are in the spotlight.
Yeah,
So I think of Jack DeBellin, like he's had a few things wrong with him, but he was in that massive court
Yeah.
case, and
Yeah.
the St George are like, you can't play until this is sorted,
Yeah.
and then he gets found not guilty,
Yeah.
and he didn't play for
Yeah.
4 months or something
Yeah.
and not get paid.
yeah,
So I guess they get that little bit of scrutiny, but at least like that seems normal.
yeah.
If you're going through a court process, you don't
should.
really have time to be doing anything else. But then to get found not guilty, you can't really get that time back.
Yeah.
But again, that's the same for everyone.
Yeah, and that's, I know, like, when you look at those, and there's a St. George player, I think, who's going through that at the moment, where he's on the, I think the NRL's brought no fault stand down, where if
Yeah,
you go to
yeah.
court, you got to stand down.
Yeah,
and I
yeah.
think they still pay you, but
Oh, okay.
you just can't play.
Yeah.
The tough thing for that, like you said, is this St. George dude, he's a young dude. He's going into his second season.
Yeah.
He started all of last year. He's finding his feet.
Yeah.
But if he doesn't play for 6 months and someone takes his spot,
Yeah.
does he get it back?
Yeah.
And that's where I think, not just with sport, but society as a whole, we struggle with when we know more innocent until proven guilty.
Yeah.
It's now if something happens, you're guilty, and you've got to prove
But
you're
it's
innocent.
But
And
you can't. It's like it's the defamation. So
Yeah.
people are just dragging your name through the mud for the whole time, even if you're guilty or not, and then you're found not guilty. But it's very hard to drop those thoughts and
Yeah.
those rumors that everyone was saying,
Yeah.
and like it's not going to tarnish your personality or your career.
yeah, that's, I don't know, that's the problem
it's
with
a
the
tough
internet,
thing.
because everyone can say what they want to say.
Yeah.
I think that's the. Now, we were sort of talking about with justice. So, do you think that AFL, NRL, do you think they have the same consequences for star athletes and average, or your normal team players?
I don't know. That's
Yeah.
a good question. I think there will be we don't know what goes on behind closed doors.
Yeah.
It's just what's in the public. So I think there's ramifications for everything.
Yeah,
But how people may be treated or the expectations behind closed doors may differ.
yeah,
Because the stars always got to go in front of the media. The no names are just... You don't even know they're not in the team that week. And they don't even talk about it. You watch AFL 360 or whatever.
and I know every team sort of has their stars.
Yeah.
And you have, but your star still need players around them
Yeah,
to play
exactly.
the game. So, but I sort of think that when it comes to, as a club, when you set your standards for your teams, I think it goes a long way if the stars match that, because then everyone knows
Yeah.
they should do that. Unfortunately, I think if you let the stars get away with stuff or don't have the same consequences for them, I struggle with the young kids coming through seeing that.
Yeah.
And that's even happening in high school sport.
Yeah.
Like you'll see young kids who 15, 16, and all of a sudden they're playing no matter what they do.
Yeah.
And you're like, you're just setting this
Yeah.
kid up for failure
Yeah.
at 16
Yeah.
because you want to win your school
Well,
club.
the
or
worst thing is when they do the wrong thing and then they try and manufacture their own discipline so they still get what they want.
Yeah,
Because they're like,
Yeah.
oh, he can still play, but he might not have to. He might not get a lunch. He doesn't
Yeah.
care about lunch, right, mate? All he wants to do is play.
Yeah. Because that was my United got a new coach this year, and we've been playing well. Had a good winning streak. Marcus Rashford scoring. He went like 9 games in a row scoring a goal. Showed up late to one team meeting, got dropped for the game, and didn't start. And the coach said that. He's like, we have standards. You
Yeah.
meet those standards. If you don't play. And the coach brought him on in the second half, but he didn't start him for that game.
Yeah.
And we were losing
Yeah.
when he let him come on.
I
So,
think the short term loss of
Yeah.
benching someone to set the example and set the standard is better than just letting it happen and then the toxicity
Yeah.
come into the club. And
Yeah.
then, because who wants to play for someone who's above the law?
yeah.
Like, you're in a professional workplace. Everyone's there to try and get paid. Everyone's there to try and win a
Yeah.
game. And when someone can do whatever they want and just feel like they're pulling their weight,
Yeah.
especially if they're in leadership in the team, I don't think they're going to be playing for them.
Yeah.
And it's just going to break down.
And that's where I don't know, like, if we look at sort of on a whole, where should star athletes be treated differently? I think there has to be some things that they get that the others don't. That's why
Yeah.
there's a star.
Yeah.
But
Oh, it's money.
yeah, well, they do get more money,
Yeah,
so I don't
yeah.
know where I was going. But when, like, they reckon Tom Brady has his own trainer.
Yeah.
So wherever he goes,
Yeah.
his trainer comes with him.
But he's also almost 50, so maybe he needs the
So look
expectation.
up
He has an
what he
actual
needs.
doctor.
Yeah. And so he has he won't, I don't think he uses the team trainers and stuff like that. And you go, I don't think that affects the culture of a team. Do you know what I mean? So if Tom Brady or Adam Reynolds for the Broncos
Yeah, yeah.
now, he gets a prime parking spot at the training ground.
Yeah.
That's next to the facility.
Yeah.
That's him getting treated differently.
Yeah.
But I don't think it sort of
I don't
messes.
think so.
it's more like you said, if he's not showing up to training because he doesn't want to this week, and that's where there is some differences that they should be getting.
There's preferential treatment when you're trying to pull someone from another state to come play for your club and feel comfortable. So you're rolling out the red carpet, which I understand.
Yeah.
And I think that's sort of an understanding amongst all sports, really.
Yeah.
But yeah, if they're above the law or they think they can be late or not put in training or whatever, like with that personal trainer, I don't mind that if it's extras, but if he's like...
And if he's paying for it himself.
If he's doing it to get out of everyone else's work, that's not good.
Yeah, and that's it. So if they are doing, I don't know, a gym session in the morning and he's supposed to turn up for that and he is there, but he's doing his session with his trainer, I don't have a problem with it.
Yeah.
It's more like you
if
said...
the whole team's running suicides and he's like, just go do a 400-metre warm-up.
Walk.
Yeah.
Ooh, I don't think Tom Brady would be doing suicides.
I don't think so.
We'll have to see.
He's not a great runner. He looks like a giraffe.
Yeah, and that's where, I don't know, every team needs star players because they're the ones that sort of bring the fans in.
Yeah. They're like the nucleus of the team.
Yeah.
So if you get a toxic one, it's just going to kill the team. Like Adam Reynolds, yes, he had some injury issues, but since he's come to the club, the leadership he's brought, the level of maturity, like the Broncos on the weekend, their defense was outstanding.
Yeah, and that's where, like you said, Adam Reynolds coming is probably the best things we've had.
Yeah.
And you don't get that if you don't get that star player in who works hard.
Yeah.
And that's how you were saying, if you get the wrong one in, it can go the other way and you struggle.
But some clubs get desperate and they just want a name, but you got to be very careful.
But so do you think, what do we start with? Is it justice in sport? So do you think the average players, I don't like saying average because they're professional athletes, but the average players, do you think they mind the star players getting specific stuff?
I think they would.
Yeah.
If it's taking away from the team as a whole, absolutely.
Yeah.
If it's little side deals or whatever, car parks, different locker, whatever, I don't care. That's fine. But if it's taking away from the team and the club, and it's making it about that player, then I don't see that as a positive thing.
Yeah. Because one of those things where I always see you have your star player and he does well, and you bring a new star in to come because you can never have too many apparently, and you bring the new star in and he starts getting stuff. I don't know if that's where my United, we've had a bounce back season. We're probably having the best season we've had in the last 3 years. We've won our first trophy, but I look at some of the new players we brought in, and we've brought in two that have done a great job. It looks like they just do whatever gets asked of them. They're willing to do whatever to win the game. And then we survived 6 months with Ronaldo.
Yeah.
And he had to go because he wasn't willing to
He
do whatever to win.
He wanted to have his victory lap, really, and wanted to make it about him.
Yeah, and that's where the balance you've got to find is your club. And that's where I think coaches and managers don't get enough credit that they should, because especially basketball, where it's become now you need those stars to win.
Yeah.
And if you only got 5 on the court and you've got 3 stars, you've got to make them, each star know his role.
Yeah.
You've got to make them realize that you're not going to be as big a star as you were at the other team, and you sort of come in here to get the goal of winning. So if you win and we're winning as a team, you're not going to win carrying us like you might have at the other team. But when you were at that other team, you weren't winning, or you weren't winning the championships. And that's where I think rugby league, AFL, you've got so many players on the field. Your stars, you probably can get away with them coming.
But AFL, you could have 3 stars, one in the back, the midfield, and the forward line.
Yeah.
There's still another 15 players
that
are playing. So they can... I don't think the light shines as bright because they're within the full team. They're part of their own little group, the backline, midfield, whatever. And I think they just they become more leaders rather than a star player, I think.
Oh, so there's a pretty cool chat about our justice in sport and stars and the perception of stars in teams. Thanks for listening. We'll catch up with you all next week. another episode of Chalk and Cheese Down.
Thank you.